Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty wild, an invisible, massive, multi-layered system that just runs quietly in the background of our everyday lives. Think about it. Every single time you tap your phone to grab a coffee, check your bank balance, or transfer funds to a friend, you're actually interacting with one of the most incredibly complex security infrastructures ever built. We're going to peel back the layers of this literal technological fortress, the exact system that protects the trillions of dollars zipping around online every single day.
It's a staggering amount of wealth in motion, right? Trillions of dollars. And with that much money just floating around the digital ether, it's honestly no surprise that cybercriminals are constantly, and I mean literally constantly, trying to steal it. But standing between those hackers and your hard-earned cash is an unbelievable, practically invisible fortress. So our goal today? We're going to figure out exactly how that fortress works, layer by layer, and look at what happens in those rare, crazy instances when a wall actually gets breached.
Okay, let's dive into this. We've got 5 parts today. 1. The outer defense. 2. AI and real-time tracking. 3. Inside the bank's core. 4. The ultimate safety net. And finally, number 5, the human loophole.
Let's start right at the edge of the fortress. Section 1. The outer defense, securing the perimeter.
So whenever you log in, the very first shield that goes up is TLS, or Transport Layer Security. You can kind of picture this as a heavily armored underground tunnel connecting your browser directly to your bank. Everything inside this tunnel is totally encrypted, so even if an attacker actually manages to tap into the connection and eavesdrop on your data while it's traveling across the web, well, they get absolutely nothing. Without the specific session key, your passwords and account numbers, they just look like pure, scrambled, random noise.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how it completely wrecks the traditional hacker playbook. We're talking about multi-factor authentication, or MFA. Look, in the old days, a password was enough. But today, even if an attacker completely compromises that outer tunnel and steals your password, which is something you know, they are stopped dead in their tracks. To actually get in, they need something you have, like your physical phone, or something you are, like a face scan or a fingerprint. Basically, one key just doesn't cut it anymore.
And speaking of that second key, let's talk about the OTP, the one-time password. We all know the absolute panic of rushing to type in that 6-digit code before the timer hits 0, right? It's stressful, but we really need to reframe that annoyance as a totally heroic security feature. These codes expire in just 30 to 60 seconds. That incredibly tight window means that even if a hacker miraculously intercepts your code, it becomes entirely useless to them just a few heartbeats later. And get this, the outer defense doesn't just go to sleep once you're logged in. Banks use this clever thing called device fingerprinting. They literally track the specific devices you use, your favorite browser, and your typical login habits. If some unknown device suddenly tries to access your account, boom, it triggers extra security steps. Also, you know when your banking app automatically logs you out after you look away for a few minutes? That isn't an annoying glitch. That's secure session management. Your bank is actively shutting the door to protect you from things like session hijacking. Moving inward, Section 2, AI and real-time tracking. The guards on the wall.
Behind the scenes, banks are running some seriously advanced, real-time machine learning models. Think of them as tireless guards that watch absolutely every single transaction you make. If something doesn't fit your normal spending vibe, the AI flags it instantly. Is it a weird location? An unusually huge amount? Are you randomly buying electronics at 3 a.m.? If the AI spots these red flags, it can literally freeze the transaction before a single cent ever leaves your account. And this brilliantly illustrates one of the AI's absolute favorite tricks, the velocity check. Say your card is physically swiped at a terminal in Mumbai, right? And then, just 2 hours later, someone tries to use it at a shop in London. The system instantly flags it as impossible. The AI knows you haven't secretly invented a teleporter, so the transaction is blocked on the spot. By the way, this hyper-vigilant system is exactly why your card sometimes gets declined when you go on vacation without giving your bank a heads up.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the deepest part of the fortress. Section 3, inside the bank's core, the impenetrable vault. Now, you might naturally assume that once you're actually inside the bank's internal network, everything is just totally open and trusted, right? Actually, scratch that, it's the exact opposite. Modern banks run on what's called a zero-trust architecture. The golden rule here is literally never trust, always verify. Banks don't even trust their own employees or their own computer servers. Every single access request, even if it's coming from the bank manager's own desk, is treated like a potential threat and verified before anything is shared.
Deep down inside this zero-trust vault, things get super high-tech. Banks use HSMs, or hardware security modules. These are essentially ultra-guarded, tamper-proof physical black boxes that lock away the master cryptographic keys. On top of that, there's strict compliance for encrypting and walling off card data. But here's my favorite part. Banks actually pay these groups called red teams, who are literally highly skilled ethical hackers, to constantly try and break into the bank's own systems. They want to find the weak spots and patch them up way before the real bad guys ever get a chance.
But sometimes, despite all this mind-blowing technology, the bad guys actually do find a crack in the armor. $81 million. Just let that sink in for a second. That is a jaw-dropping amount of money, and it perfectly highlights the absolute life-or-death stakes involved in global banking.
That 81 million was stolen during the infamous 2016 Bangladesh bank heist. But here's the crazy part. The hackers didn't actually break into the bank's internal vault. Nope. Instead, they compromised a connection to the SWIFT network. Now, SWIFT is the global messaging system banks use to wire international funds to each other. By hijacking the communication lines instead of the actual vault, these criminals were able to send fake transfer orders. It just goes to show, a fortress is really only as secure as the roads leading in and out of it.
Which brings us to Section 4, the ultimate safety net, the King's Guarantee.
So what happens if a bank just completely collapses? Well, governments step in. Different countries have set up these incredibly robust insurance agencies just to protect consumers like us. In India, the DICGC insures deposits up to 5 lakh rupees. In the UK, the FSCS covers up to £85,000. And in the US, the FDIC covers up to $250,000. It's a massive safety net ensuring that even if the bank's walls totally crumble, your everyday savings are safe.
And for your everyday spending, regulated financial institutions offer awesome protections like chargebacks and dispute resolutions. Say someone steals your credit card details. The bank steps in, investigates, and they usually give you provisional credit while they sort it out. I mean, think about it. Physical cash just doesn't have that. If you drop a $100 bill on the sidewalk, honestly, it's gone forever. But if $100 is stolen digitally, the system actually goes to work to get your money back.
Finally, we arrive at Section 5, the human loophole, the secret tunnel.
So the crucial point is this. Most successful bank fraud isn't technical at all. It's totally psychological. Despite the TLS encryption, the zero trust networks, the AI guards, the biggest, most dangerous threat to your money is completely non-technical. Look, cybercriminals are smart. They figured out that trying to blast through a literal titanium wall is just too hard. So instead, they just politely ask you to open the front door for them. It's called social engineering, and without a doubt, it is the weakest link in the entire chain. Criminals use phishing, those fake emails that look exactly like they're from your bank. They use vishing, which is making manipulative, panic phone calls. And they use smishing, sending fake text alerts to freak you out. The goal is literally always the same, to trick you into handing over your password or your OTP directly to them. They bypass the entire multi-billion-dollar tech fortress just by hacking human psychology.
And here is the genuinely harsh reality about social engineering. Those amazing government guarantees we just talked about, they protect you against a bank failure. They generally do not protect you if you, willingly, even if you're tricked, hand over the keys to a cybercriminal. If you authorize a transfer or read your OTP out loud to a scammer, getting that money back becomes exponentially harder. That safety net might not be there to catch you.
We've seen just how incredibly robust the banking infrastructure really is, so I want to leave you with this to ponder. If the technology is an impenetrable fortress, why let the criminals walk right through the front door? We really have to take that zero trust principle the banks use for their computers and apply it to our own lives. At the end of the day, we are the final layer of defense. Your bank is doing a phenomenal amount of heavy lifting behind the scenes to protect your wealth. They've built an absolute digital castle. But the weakest link is always the human holding the keys. So never ever share your one-time password. Seriously, not even if the person on the phone swears they're the bank manager. The next time your phone buzzes with an urgent bank alert, ask yourself, are you standing guard at the gates, or are you about to unlock the front door for the enemy? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, stay vigilant out there.